Assalamu alaikum, grade 9. Welcome back to session 2. We're discussing the vocab study skill and I Have a Dream speech by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So, your do now activity is to think of other synonyms or words that have similar meaning for the word justice. You can type your answer in the chat box, and of course, if you're not in class, you can use your English journal to take some notes and then share them later on. Okay. So my learning intentions, where am I going? Inshallah, by the end of this class, you'll be able to predict the words' meanings using context clues. And those are either the targeted vocab words or words that you're unfamiliar with. And of course, you're going to be able to verify the meanings of the words that you have guessed using either your dictionary or an online reference material, online dictionary, just like Oxford Dictionary, for example. How are you going to achieve this? Of course, you're going to be able first to predict the words' meanings, looking up the clues and hints that lead you to the meaning or to guess the meaning. You're going to use the dictionary in order to verify and double check whether the meaning that you have guessed is correct or not, or is it close to the actual meaning of the word. Of course, you're going to find new ways to explain those words to your friends, to your classmates, maybe putting them in sentences or using other creative ways, and then you'll be able to use these words in your daily life conversations and in your writing. So the first activity that you need to do is to skim the selection I Have a Dream or the speech written by given by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And while you're scanning the text, I need you to highlight 5 words that you're unfamiliar with and try to use the context clues to guess those words' meanings. After you try to guess the word meaning and you record your guessing of the word, you can use the dictionary to verify the meaning and to check whether you have guessed the word meaning correctly or not. You can use a Microsoft Word document to do this activity, or you can write it in your English journal. So this activity on your pod is your way to submit your answer if you are joining the class online. So if you have missed the class online, as I said before, you can type it in a Microsoft Word document and save it, or you can write it in your English journal. Now here, you can check your friends' answers. You can talk to your friends, communicate with them, and check their guessings of the meanings of the words in the way that they have explained them to others, and you can do the same with them, inshallah. All right. I need you to keep in mind that you read the selection. You need to review the chapter 4 and 5, and study chapter 6 of the novel, The Call of the Wild, and to complete your reading activities and read theory. We're resuming in session 3 with vocab study, but with extra activities, inshallah. And in this session, we're targeting the new vocab words that we need to understand and try to use in our daily life conversations. Now, this Do Now activity is also designed for the students who are joining the class or attending the class online. The question is, I want you to describe in one word what is your vision for a better world. So if you can check the link, if it's still accessible, you can still go in and answer. If it's not working or the link is expired, you can also mention that or write this in your English journal. So our targeted vocab words for this selection are 5, and they are default, legitimate, militancy, inextricably, and momentous. So what you need to do in this activity, you need to use the context clue in each sentence to guess the meaning of the underlined word or each targeted vocab word. So what you need to do, go over the sentences, try to highlight context clues, and then try to figure out the word's meaning. After you try to figure out the word meaning, try to double check the meaning from the dictionary to check whether you were able to guess the meaning correctly or not. You're going to find that each one of the vocab words is used in a sentence. Check the sentences, check the context, try to find some clues and hints to lead you to the meaning of the word. Try and, of course, record your answers in your notebook, and then try to verify the meaning using the dictionary. Same thing here. Okay, after you get done, you can join this online activity. Just access the following link and it's going to take you to Quizlet. You're going to see some flashcards and words meanings. Then from the study part, I want you to do the writing activity. You need to use each word in a correct, meaningful sentence. And then from the play option, you can do the matching activity. And if you'd like to do the other activity, it's fine too. Please, after you finish the work, you get the work done, take a screenshot of your result and keep it for record because you might use it and include it in your e-portfolio later on. Now, this is your assignment. You need to read the selection and highlight at least 10 words that you're unfamiliar with. Then you need to record a video of yourself explaining those words in your own way or in a creative way. Try to include at least 5 words that have multiple meanings. And once you're done, turn in your assignment on Edmodo. The assignment due date is not this Wednesday, but it's the coming or next Wednesday, inshallah, and the teacher will confirm the due date with you, inshallah. All right, we're moving now to work on session 4, and this is the vocab strategy. We're going to work on analogies. So I'm pretty sure that most of you have prior knowledge about analogies and this vocab strategy that authors and writers use to make audience able to find connections and relations between two different images or different ideas. So your do now activity, I want you to look at the pair of pictures here, and then I want you to try to guess or to find out what connections you can make between them, and record your answer. This time not in the chat box because you're not live now, but maybe in your English journal. Okay, let's go over the learning intentions of session 4, sorry. What are we going to learn? What are we going to be able to do by the end of this session? You're going to be able to identify analogies and explain the points of comparisons used in them. You're going to be able to determine the meanings of new words through using analogies, and then you're going to be able to include analogies in your own rating. Okay, this is our success criteria. So first of all, you will be able to identify the analogy in a text. You'll be able to infer and explain what are the two things or the two ideas that are being compared. You're going to be able to compare between different things using analogies, and then you can create your own meaningful sentences using analogies to make meanings clear for the reader. Okay, so what is an analogy? Basically, an analogy is the way that writers compare between two things or two different ideas that are alike in some way. Now, why do writers do this? Writers tend to use a lot of analogies in their different types of writing in order to make complex ideas appear in a simple way and to create a relation between them and between other simple images that will make the reader be able, or will help the reader be able to understand a complex idea. So let's look at analogies and break them down in order to make the learning or the understanding clear for you. So in analogies, we can show similarities between pair of words or maybe pair of ideas. Now, the most important thing in order to be able to master analogies is to actually figure out the relationship between each pair of words or each pair of ideas. Now, the analogy looks like something like this. A is to B as 1 is to 2. And when we say it, or when we read an analogy, it sounds like this. A is to B, the first comparison, or the first pair of words, as 1 is to 2, the second pair of words. So we show that the relationship between A and B here in the first part of the analogy is very similar to the relationship between 1 and 2 in the second part of the analogy. Now we have different types of analogies. Analogies can show connections of synonyms, antonyms, object to action, part to whole to part, association, object to location, and cause and effect. We're not going to go do them all, but we're going to give some examples. So let's look at synonyms analogies. Now the words and pairs in this analogy are the same. So the relationship between those pairs of words is synonyms. For example, big is too large as pretty is too beautiful. Now, what is the relationship between big and large? There are two different words that have a similar meaning, so there are synonyms. This is the first part of the analogy. As pretty is to beautiful, which means, in other words, as large has a similar meaning to the word big, the word beautiful has a similar meaning to the word pretty. Now, how about you try this? Happy is to glad, as clever is to. So try to think of a similar or a synonym for the word clever, which could be the word smart, for example. So how about you try this yourself? Shatter is to break, is as mend is to drop, place, repair, or broken. What do you think? Yes, mend means to repair. So repair is the correct answer. Okay, another connections or relation that you can find between analogies is antonyms, and antonyms are words that have opposite meanings. So let's look at the example of this analogy here. This is the first part of the analogy. This is the second part. Large is to small, is as ugly is to pretty. So this analogy tells me that since small is the opposite of the word large, then pretty is the opposite of the word ugly. Let's try the example here. Serious is too funny, as heavy is too, yes, is too light. Because heavy and light are opposite words, which are antonyms. Let's try this example as well. So straight is to curved, is as horizontal is to vertical. So as straight is the synonym for the word curved, horizontal is the synonym for the word vertical. Another example of analogies, or another example of relations used in analogies, are part to whole. One word in the pair is a part of the other word, which is the whole. So let's look at the example here. Finger is a part of the hand. So that's why it's a part to whole relationship. Finger is as to hand as toe is to foot. So the finger is part of your hand, the toe is part of your foot. Let's look at this example. Books, it's the part of a library, which is the whole. So books is to library, is as students is to, or students are to school. Let's look at this example. Piano is to keys, as guitar is to strings. So here, piano is the whole, and the keys are part of the piano. And in the second part of the analogy, the guitar is the whole, and the strings are the part of this guitar. So it's very interesting that you try to figure out the relationship in the first part of the analogy, and this will help you understand how we're going to complete the second part of the analogy. One more type of analogy that we can share today is cause and effect relationship, and this is very much used by writers and their writings. So the words in the pairs have a cause and effect relationship. A cause makes something happen, and what happens is the result of that cause, and it comes as an effect. Let's look at an example. Hunger is to eating as thirst is to drinking. So Hunger is the cause of eating. So what caused you to eat? Being hungry. And thirst is to drinking. What caused you to drink water? That you felt thirsty. Let's look at the example. Happiness is to smiles, as sadness is to. So let's look at the example. What might make a person smile? That this person is happy. What is the result of being sad? It could be tears. Let's look at this example. Rain is to dampness, as sun is to. So when it's raining, what happens to you? You get wet. So dampness is the result of rain. So what could be a result of sun? Warmth. When the day is sunny, or when it's a sunny day, you feel warm. All right. This is the first activity. What you need to do basically is to scan the text on page 662 in your textbook and look up at least one example of an analogy that the writer has used. Then keep your answer in your English notebook or your English journal, or you can type it in a Word document. Your second activity is to read the sentences below and try to identify the analogy in each of those sentences. Then try to decide try to find out or note what are the two things or the two ideas that are being compared, and explain the comparison in your own way. You can write these sentences in your English journal, or you can type them in the Word document and then give your answers in different colors on a separate line for each sentence. The third activity, and it's your exit slip to get feedback and assess your understanding, you can go to that link on Quizzes and do the activity. After you finish the activity, please take a screenshot of your result and send it to your teacher on Edmodo, or make sure that you're keeping a copy of this result because you're going to add it into your English portfolio. This was it. Thank you very much. See you later, inshallah. Stay safe. Assalamu alaikum.